Hello and welcome to BioRules video lessons. Today we are going to be talking about Coniferophytes, also known as gymnosperms. These here are the pine trees. I don't know exactly why they're called conifers. Maybe it's because they look like gigantic cones, or maybe because the pine look like little cones and they are actually called cones. No matter what, the pine trees are among the biggest plants in the planet. This here is the tallest tree on the planet. It's more than 114 meters tall. So if you look to the base, very, very wide trees, and here we have this tiny little person, three people there hanging from it. These here are the sequoias, and they live in the West United States. I never visited them, but it's in my bucket list, and I hope I will meet them very soon. Okay? If you look to the cladogram of the plants, we have the green algae that gave rise to all the land plants, and we have the mosses over there that already have differentiated tissues. All of them are going to have differentiated tissues. But what have happened over there is that we have water conduction tissues, the vascularization that now is going to be present in the ferns, but all other groups of plants. That means that the Coniferophytes are also vascularized. That's why they can be so tall, so big. Okay? But what's new here in the cone-bearing plants, in the Coniferophytes, and also is going to be in the flowering plants, is that now they have seeds. So from that moment on, every plant has seeds that include the conifers, and that will include the flowering plants. So seeds is something new that you have from now on. So to take a look on the life cycle, let's make a quick revision on the life cycle of the pteridophytes. By the way, all the life cycles of plants are very similar. They just change the shape, the looks, or how long each of the stages live, but the idea, the little squares, you're going to realize probably very soon that they look exactly the same. So the pteridophytes have a sporophyte, which is diploid, that suffers meiosis inside the little capsule, the sporangia, and then produces spore. In the case of pteridophytes, the spores travel by the wind and make the gametophytes, which is going to be the heart-shaped structure that is going to be producing the enterozoids that will swim to the oospheres and make the fecundation. Once you have the fecundation done, you're going to have the zygote, and the zygote is going to be growing into a new sporophyte in the middle of the gametophyte, and the gametophyte shrinks and the cycle is closed. So how is this going to be happening into the coniferophytes? The coniferophytes, they are also going to be starting with the sporophyte diploid life phase, because the big tree is the biggest stage of the life cycle of a coniferophyte. So you are going to have meiosis, which is going to be making spores, but from now on, the spores are going to stay inside. They stay inside the parent's body, and they are going to be in there. So let's take a look on the male one first. So the gametophyte, the male one, from now on is going to be called micro. Everything in the males are going to be micro or micro. So micro gametophytes, micro spore, micro everything. And the microgametophyte, the male gametophyte, the tiny little plant, is going to make the pollen grain. Yes, that's right. The pollen grain is a tiny little plant that eventually will become independent from the mother plant and is going to be flying through the wind to meet the female part. The male gametophyte, the pollen grain, will have inside of it a sperm cell that will do the fecundation. The female gametophyte is going to be called mega, so mega gametophyte. Female, from now on, everything is going to be mega. And this female, the mega gametophyte, in the end, will be the future seed. So after fecundation, the seed will be the female mega gametophyte. Inside the mega gametophyte, we are going to have the oosphere. It's exactly the same as we had before. These two here, they are going to be meeting when the male gametophyte flies with the wind and they meet the female mega gametophyte. And when that happens, the sperm cell can meet the oosphere and make fecundation. So The sexual reproduction in Coniferophytes now, they are totally independent from water. They depend now on wind. The male gamete, which is inside the male gametophyte, the pollen grain, will go to the mother plant by the wind. And when that happens, they make the zygote, which stays inside the female gametophyte and will develop into an embryo. So this here will be the female megagametophyte, which will be the seed. And inside that seed, we are going to have an embryo, which is interesting because this tissue here on the seed is going to be haploid, like the megagametophyte, but the embryo over here is going to be diploid. Okay? So, putting things together here, we are going to see that we have a microspore, so the male spore, which is produced by meiosis into the mother's pollen-producing structure. It's a modified leaf for that. And this is going to be growing into a microgametophyte, the little plant, that eventually is going to be flying and will meet the female part. So this will happen by the wind. Okay? And when it goes over there, it will meet the megaspore to finish the reproduction. So let's take a look on the male part of development, the microgametophyte. The microgametophyte is a tiny little plant. It's the equivalent of the little heart, but now it's very, very tiny, almost microscopical. And this here is going to be called pollen or pollen grain. It has two flapped structure over here that helps them to fly with the wing. Not actively, but increase the area so the wind can blow. So there are many names here, some of them we don't care for, but this here is the generative cell, and the generative cell is going to be dividing and then dividing again to make the sperm cell, the male gamete, the one that will meet the female gamete to be able to fecundate. So now the sperm is not an enterozoid anymore, it's just a sperm. But in the pollen grain we also have another cell called tube cell. And the tube cell is quite important because it will grow and will become a big tube. It's very important in the fecundation, in making the sperm cell to meet the oosphere. Okay, so here, just putting everything together, generative cells are going to become the sperm nuclei or sperm cells eventually, and the tube cell, it's over there, is going to be growing and will allow for the sperm cell to meet the oosphere. Okay, so this here is the one that's going to be making the fecundation. So, taking a look here, the female part now, we have megasporangium. Megasporangium is the place where meiosis happens, the sporangia, the same that we had there in the pteridophytes. The megasporangium will make the megaspore, and the megaspore is going to be dividing and making the megagametophyte. The megagametophyte over there is going to be the one that will have the oosphere inside, and where we are going to be having all the female parts. So let's see this here enlarged, the fecundation happening. Pollen grain met the female structure, the female megagametophyte, and is going to be growing. Look over there, a little bit more enlarged. The pollen tube is growing. That's why I draw it in blue. And the pollen tube has a sperm cell. The pollen tube grows a little bit more until it reaches the oosphere, and the sperm cell is over there. And when they meet, we have the fecundation. So that's how they are going to be reproducing. But let's take a look on the female structure first. So this female structure is the megasporangium. It's diploid, part of the mother's body, which is going to be suffering meiosis. Diploid over there, suffer meiosis. It will make 4 cells. One is called the functional megaspore. Okay, function because that one functions, and the other 3 they die. Meiosis, 1 cell makes 4, 3 of them are discarded. Okay, this functional megaspore, which now is haploid, is going to make successive mitosis, cell division, and is going to be making the egg there in the middle, okay, the oosphere, haploid, okay. You're going to have an archegone over there surrounded, but now we have the female gametophyte, megagametophyte, which is haploid. And it's called megagametophyte, and is going to be having the nutritive tissue of the seed. Okay, So there it is, the mega gametophyte, and we are going to be having pollination. The pollen grain is coming with the wind, and when it gets over there, the pollen tube grows to inside this mega gametophyte. It takes the sperm cells and you have fertilization. And after you have fertilization, that one will become the seed, haploid, the embryo will be inside, diploid, and we are going to be having the endosperm, the nutritive tissue of the seed. That's what's going to be giving the nutrients for the embryo to grow when germination happens. So, taking a look here on this diagram, we are going to be having everything put together. We have here the pollen tube growing, taking the gametes over there to make the fecundation, producing an embryo, which is diploid. But this here is inside a female gametophyte over there, which has the nutrients, which is haploid. This embryo, when it grows, it becomes the little developing tree that will eventually grow into a mature sporophyte and go all over again. So I've placed here some diagrams just for you to see this in different ways. Okay, so you can consult that later. And just putting everything together, Coniferophytes, biggest plants in the planet, they are vascular, so they contain seeds. And what are the advantages of having seeds? The embryo now is going to be protected. It grows inside a little case. That protects it against desiccation. That also helps them to travel further distance. Some of them can travel great distances. And now the seed already has some nutrients packed with them. So now when the embryo travels to a far, far away place to start a new life, it already have the nutrients packed on them. So the new embryo can start the life without the need of light. It starts growing with the nutrients that were packed with them. Okay? Just to make sure, the sporophyte is still the dominant life stage. The big trees, they are still sporophyte, diploid. And now the male gamete takes the wind to do the pollination. So Coniferophytes are now independent from water for reproduction. Okay? So they don't need water anymore to be growing. And now you can use your cell phone to read the QR code to answer some questions about this video. Or, if you prefer, you can type this link in your computer and you're going to be having the questions there. Have fun.